This is All of It. I'm Allison Stewart, live from the WNYC studios in Soho. Thank you for sharing part of your day with us. I'm really grateful you're here. Coming up, Dominic Sessa will be here to talk about his new film, Tony. It's about the summer Anthony Bourdain decided to become a chef. But first, I was in Central Park last night for a New York City tradition, Shakespeare in the Park. And while it may be summertime, at the Delacorte Theater, The Winter's Tale is on stage. It's one of Shakespeare's late plays, and it's a dramedy. Raul Esparza is Leontes, King of Sicily. He has an adorable son, a beautiful wife, and his childhood best friend, the King of Bohemia, Polixenes, has been visiting. His wife, Hermione, is pregnant with their second child. She's played by Lily Rabe. Life is good, at least for the first few pages of Act 1. When Hermione is a little too convincing in her pleas for the King of Bohemia to stay longer, Leontes becomes convinced that two of them have been having an affair. He declares them to be too hot, too hot. Hermione swears she has been true, but Leontes won't listen to tragic consequences. That's the drama part. In the second half of the play, there's some good comedy, and we learn about what has happened to the daughter of Leontes and Hermione, and we'll speak to those actors in just a bit. But first, joining me now to discuss The Winter's Tale are Raul Esparza. It's nice to meet you.
Hello.
As well as Lily Rabe, who plays Queen Hermione. Nice to see you as well.
Nice to see you.
And the play is running at the Delacorte Theater through August 23rd. You made your Delacorte debut in 2010, yeah?
Yes.
In The Merchant of Venice. What makes you say yes? Keep coming back to do Shakespeare in the Park?
Yeah, it really feels like coming home to me. I feel I've sort of grown up by the women that I've played there, and this is my fifth time in the park, my fourth time with Dan Sullivan, and I think no matter what I do in the rest of my career, this will always be the kind of most precious thing to me and special thing to get to be on that stage in the middle of New York doing Shakespeare under the stars.
You and Lily have been together in the park, Cymbeline in 2015, Raul. But this is the new stage, the new Delacorte. What is different about the stage? What's the same about the stage, the venue?
The stage feels the same, I'd say. And the space itself feels the same. Backstage has been remodeled in a really wonderful way. It's like beautifully modernized. However, I keep complaining that the old Delacorte smelled like summer camp in the Adirondacks, and I miss that smell.
Right? Did the raccoons still get in?
Oh, yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah.
The other night I was writing something down in my notebooks at intermission, and a little raccoon came and sat next to me and just sort of watched me for a while. Oh. And I said, hi. And he didn't go away. He just sort of was looking at my book. I miss the summer camp smell, but otherwise it's a comfortable, gorgeous space to be in. And I think there's just nothing like having the city around you so alive at night.
When you play Shakespeare, Lily, when you're thinking about it, what is your process in preparation? How do you first engage with the text?
I just say the words. The language has this ability to carry you and reveal itself to you. And I find that when I am, up against something and I can't figure it out, you keep saying it, and it slowly will crack open. And the beautiful thing about it is, in my experience, no matter how long, these runs are very short, but when I was lucky enough to be able to do Merchant of Venice for a longer period of time because we transferred it, closing night, I was still learning so much. That never stops. But to me, it's just sort of getting on the tracks of that language, and it carries you.
How about for you? How do you tackle the language?
I think what Lily said is exactly the trick that has kind of been most freeing for me. This particular character is famously difficult to play. Leontes is known for verse that is fractured to the point of incomprehensibility. Some scholars even say that there are passages he says that are considered the most obtuse and naughty things written in all of Shakespeare. And so I approached it with a tiny bit of panic at first. And then I found that in Shakespeare, there is no character. There is only the language. What you say about yourself is who you are and what people say about you. And beginning to let go of any sense that I had to layer in meaning besides what the words were telling me was very freeing. The other thing that happened for me in this case was being really, really rigorous about where I breathe, how the verse works as poetry and how it drives you. Because it's so fractured and hiccupy and strange, I found that if I breathed exactly where the poetry was telling me to breathe, I began to hyperventilate. I began to stumble over myself. I began to feel exactly what this man is feeling. And it took some time for me to let go and say, oh, just breathe, and he's got you.
Lily, the play, I called it a dramedy. It's very dark and sad in the first act. There's good comedy in the second act. What do you find interesting about the way Shakespeare played with the tone of this play?
With every Shakespeare that I've done, he always, even when something is sort of quote unquote categorically a drama or a tragedy and versus a comedy, I feel he always has those two things just pressing up against one another. And to me, I think, that's what I love. That's what I love as a sort of viewer, as an audience member, as a and as an actor, because to me, that's where everything wonderful and true happens, is when those two things are sort of welcomed into the same space. And I find, anything that is sort of a problem play of his, or something that's sort of wild or lesser done, every time I get inside of a thing, I'm like, well, this makes perfect. There's no mistakes here. He knew exactly what he was doing. This is this is perfect. So the tone feels exactly right, exactly clear. And I think the gift of having someone like Dan Sullivan directing it is that he is such a master of clarity, and so there is no murkiness around the world that you're living in. It doesn't feel like two different plays to me at all. It feels like absolutely one perfect piece.
It's interesting. I went and pulled my college textbook about Shakespeare out, and I looked up A Winter's Tale, Raoul, and it says, "The Winter's Tale is a better play to see on the stage than to read."
Oh, really? I've heard the opposite. People say it's better to read
What do
than
you
to
think?
see. I don't agree. I do. I think it's fantastic to see. It's extraordinary to read because then you can get all kinds of nuances that no production will ever be able to capture all of. But actually seeing it and seeing how this master towards the end of their career was grafting and shifting genre is an extraordinary thing to experience. It is a show that is suffused with beauty, and it is heartbreaking. And some of the most gorgeous moments in it are the simplest. I won't say what it is, but I have one line that is, I think, 3 words, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever said in my life. And you think there's something about the way that Shakespeare has built upon himself. Jim Shapiro, our great Shakespeare scholar who works with us, said the only reference to late Shakespeare is Shakespeare, because he changed everything as he went through it. And so the play itself feeds back on itself with the audience every night in an extraordinary and wonderful way. I think that seeing it then creates images and wonderful sense of the world, of what he's sort of dreaming up. It is so brave and extraordinary, and it's over 400 years old.
Well, this scholar goes on to say that it's full of good theater, and that sort of overrides the, quote, blemishes. These are his words. What do you think, Lily?
No blemishes, or the blemishes are part of the beauty, if you want to sort of use that metaphor. But but there is magic in this play. I actually was walking out of the park with Oscar Eustis last night, and we were saying, you know, even with Midsummer, and even with there's magic through in a lot of them, but I think there is the most maybe magic in this one. And it is not, again, I don't want to give anything away, but it is not because what happens can only be explained by magic. It is real, and it is grounded, and it is also magical at the same time. And to me, that's sort of like the most beautiful expression of what it is to be a human being and have these experiences that change us and elevate us, and what it is to have hope, and what it is to grieve, and what it is to keep moving forward through tragedy into this sort of abyss and into the unknown. You need to hold on to magic while you're in the reality of your life simultaneously. And so, yeah, I would say better to see than read, just because I want you to come see the show.
I think that to build on what you're saying, the beauty of this play is that Shakespeare imagines the world not as it is, but the world we wish it would be. I read somewhere that it's a vision of redemption and reconciliation that refers to a God that would be worth worshiping. You know, that if we could believe in something greater than ourselves, that thing would somehow be healing and glorious, and that we are all part of it together. It's a lifting of the human soul towards a kind of gorgeous eternity.
We are talking about The Winter's Tale. It's at Shakespeare in the Park at the Delacorte Theater through August 23rd. My guests are Raul Esparza and Lily Rabe. Raul, what is it about Hermione's interaction with Polixenes that convinces your character that she has been unfaithful?
I can't say. I can't give that one away because it changes every night for me, honestly. I find little details in things that I'm watching, and I choose those as evidence of the proof that I'm already seeking.
Don't say it.
Yeah, and I can't say it here.
Well, it's so interesting because after I left the show, I kept thinking part of the show is about confirmation bias.
It absolutely is.
Right?
Yes. I think of him like he's a detective in that first scene. Everything he sees becomes support for what he already believes. And it begins to spiral away and into a sort of mounting chaos of absolute certainty built on absolutely nothing simultaneously. So yeah, I can't say exactly because I was seeking that. I was seeking the moment, the definition of there it is. That's why. The why is uninteresting. The why is a little bit of a booby prize. It just is. And I think that's what Shakespeare's writing. He has written a similar story in Othello. Here he just lets it concentrate down to a sort of perfect sauce and jumps right into it and says, here we are, this is the situation and this is happening and I'm not going to explain why.
You don't have a lot of time to convince us, the audience, that you are true to your husband. What was your approach to Hermione's sense that she didn't betray him? You have very little time to convince us.
She didn't.
Period.
Period. Period. The truth is the truth. And you know, I think there is something. It's so wonderful being able to play this woman right now, and go through this play with her right now, because the truth does exist, and what is right does exist, and justice does exist, and gosh, it can get so far away. But
that's interesting.
I think, you know, for her, and again, I want to be careful what I say in the room with him, but I think there are qualities of a sort of she's free, and she is very much herself, and I think that alone can be threatening. And sometimes it doesn't take much more than that. I think to be someone who is open-hearted, who has a tremendous amount of love to share, and someone who is very expert at loving people and making them feel loved can become something that can be a threat. But I don't know, but I don't want to speak for how that hits Raul or what that is for him. But for me, there is nothing murky about who she is. She is absolutely, truly herself, and only becomes more so because she has to.
This is a man's world, and the men in it are, even Leontes, even by the end, is still trying to establish his dominance over the story. He has the last word. And yet, in this play, it's the women who are the forces of change. Polixenes also does some pretty extraordinary things in the second half, where he's suddenly like, I'm in charge and everyone's going to die because I say so. The men are constantly trying to shape the ends to their satisfaction, but it's the women who come in, sometimes like Paulina with the force of comedy, sometimes like Hermione with the sort of terrible truth on her side, and sometimes like Perdita with just her complete expression of who she is without even knowing it, that begin to actually shape the story, no matter how much the men fight back.
I'm interested, Raul, in how the audience reacts to your character. Sometimes people laugh at his jealousy. Mm-hmm. The woman in front of me was not having it at all. Loudly.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
What do you make of the way that the audience is reacting to Leontes?
I enjoy making them very uncomfortable. I think that I'm recruiting them into you see this, don't you? It's one of the great things that Dan Sullivan said to me. He's like, everything is so obvious to you that you assume that everyone in the audience is completely on your side. What that does, and what Shakespeare does with that, is set up a situation where the audience is implicated in my spiraling out of control. Mm-hmm. I love when they laugh. I love when it's uncomfortable. I love when they join me, and then I hear them go, oh, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Like, I actually hear another laugh come later where they're like, I don't think I like him.
Yeah.
And then I have to trust that it's okay to be hated, because the play will... It actually isn't about whether they like me or they don't like me. The play has a bigger heart than whether it's just about Leontes. It's much more about a full world. And so I have to simply trust that it's all right to be despised, and they do not have to walk with me. It is not a play about black and white happy endings. It is a play about a gray area that I think we are very uncomfortable with, because the truth can be quite complex, and it is very hard to distill things down to just one side or the other. And the play is suggesting both things can be true. And I have to let go of that. It's hard for an actor because you want the audience to love you,
Jazz hands,
and laughter actually is a marker for me of whether they are listening. And so it's been hard with this play to know, but I can now feel it as well in their silence. The laughter tells me they're there at first, and then there's a thick silence that begins to accumulate.
So you have a big emotional speech, Lily, and it was beautiful last night, but the weather has been crazy this summer. And when someone on our team went to see it, it was a downpour during that speech. Yes, huge downpour. And you kept going before they stopped for the weather.
Oh, that was earlier in the morning.
What's it like for you in the midst of that huge storm, being so emotional and having the skies open up?
Oh, I didn't want to stop.
You want to incorporate it in their performance?
I never want to stop. I mean, listen, there are things that go into making that call about that, of course, have to be made. But I think I would say it's probably easier to act in the rain than it is to be an audience member in the rain. So my true gratitude and respect and admiration for the audience members who sit through that rain and stay with us is so enormous. The thing about doing Shakespeare outside is that he writes so much about the elements. They're with you. And so it's just a gift. I always want to be able to finish the show and not stop. But whatever it is, we had a heron with us 2 nights in a row. We've had lots of rain. That all feels so welcome. The air quality was a hurdle that was really, really rough. But acting in the rain is something I have no problem with. I'm very grateful to get to do it.
Autolycus mentioned, because he had worked at the Globe in London, and he said any reference to weather in Shakespeare gets a response when you're in the open air, and boy, has that happened here.
For real.
Yeah.
And I also think in that scene, Hermione is really alone, and so in such a profound way. And so actually I just feel tremendous company kept by whatever comes. And if it's rain, it's rain.
Well, we hope to see you in the fall when you're in other desert cities.
Thank you.
And Galileo. Fingers
Very
crossed.
exciting.
Very exciting. My guests have been actor Raul Esparza and Lily Rabe. We continue our conversation about The Winter's Tale by talking to their daughter Perdita, played by Isabella Ferrar, and her love, the Prince Florizel, played by Daniel Kyrie. They join us next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening to all of it on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. We continue speaking with the cast of the Public Theater's Shakespeare in the Park production of The Winter's Tale. Act 2 picks up 16 years after the King of Sicily banished his baby daughter. Perdita was found and raised by a shepherd in Bohemia. She's grown into a young woman who is so graceful, no one can believe she's a shepherd's daughter. She's actually a princess. The Prince of Bohemia catches the feels for Perdita and wishes to be married, but his father has something to say about that. Isabella Ferrer plays Perdita. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And Daniel Kyrie plays Prince Florizel. Nice to meet you as well.
Lovely to meet you.
So you're a New York City kid.
Yes.
You went to LaGuardia.
I did.
The whole thing. Did you ever attend Shakespeare in the Park?
I actually have a really great story about this, which I've been very excited to share. After my freshman year of high school at LaGuardia, where I was studying drama, I did, the Public Theater used to do a Shakespeare camp called Midsummer Day Camp. And I took it that summer. And I remember doing a scene from Midsummer Night's Dream. I completely fell in love with Shakespeare. And then they offered us tickets to see Cymbeline, which was directed by Dan Sullivan, had Lily, had Raul, had Stephen, had Tegel. Tom Kitt did the music. It was it really kind of set me on the track of understanding that this is something that I could maybe want to do as a career. So to have about a decade later, to be able to be a part of this process and this project has been a dream come true. Yeah.
Daniel, why did you want to be part of this production?
Oh my gosh, why not? You could just, it's the legacy of this thing of Shakespeare in the Park. Its impact, and also I'm an artist that really believes in the idea of accessibility and where it intersects with the work, and this is the perfect opportunity to be a part of, putting sort of my money where my mouth is in that. And it just is a real, we're in bucket list territory, you know what I mean, when we get to something like this. So as soon as it came across my desk, as it were, I was like, I have to do everything I can to be a part of this.
When we meet Perdita, how would you describe her?
I think she's very grounded. I think she knows who she is while at the same time also not knowing a lot about herself. Sure. So I think there's a nice contradiction there that is fun to play with. She is very much one of nature. She loves her flowers. She loves her gardening. And I think she stands up for the people that she cares about. Yeah.
How would you describe Florizel?
Florizel is I think he's a bit of a dreamer. I mean, the tradition of the Shakespeare lover is very present and embodied by this character. Just there's a thing about passion and where it leads us that I think is very, sort of central to who Florizel is. And it's where, word and vow meets action in this young man. He sees what he wants and goes for it.
His father's not that psyched. Not that psyched about the two of them. Why is he willing to defy his father, the King of Bohemia?
I think it's one of those things where, it's just like, have you ever wanted something so bad? You know what I mean? That it's just caution to the wind, and I'll do anything to attain it. There's also something to speak about that, the passion of youth, as well. I remember being younger, and I remember first love, and I remember, doing whatever I could to see where my love story would play out. And I think that this young man is very much in the thrall of that. And as much as there is the weight of responsibility on him, there is just, where your heart leads you. And I think he's just very into seeing where it goes, and it leads him straight to Perdita.
We are talking about Shakespeare in the Park's production of The Winter's Tale. My guests are actors Isabella Ferrar and Daniel Kyrie, who play the young lovers. The Winter's Tale is running at the Delacorte through August 23rd. Many people note that it's Perdita?
Perdita.
Thank you.
No
Perdita. That she has great grace, and everybody can't believe she's a shepherd's daughter. What were your conversations like with your director about how to give her that quality, that graceful quality?
I think a lot of it had to do with just her physicality, which it's funny because you don't really want to overthink these things, especially when it's something that maybe she doesn't recognize even within herself. So I think also thanks to, honestly, Mimi Lieber, who's the assistant director and choreographs a lot of the dancing, there's a lot of these elements that we get to play with the gracefulness in her dance. And I think as best as one can, you're trying to emulate it, but not necessarily also show that she's this, because she doesn't even know that she's of this stature. So, yeah.
Do you think she has a suspicion about her parentage?
I have wondered this. I think she's the kind of person where she is not going to worry about it because she can't necessarily have the answer, and I think that's maybe something that troubles her a bit. So she would rather just know what she knows until something else comes along that then drags her into maybe revealing more and more. And there's the whole debate that she has with Polixenes, where it's about flowers and the crossbreeding of flowers, and she does not necessarily like the argument of altering what's true and what's just natural in its natural state. And I think that rubs her the wrong way a little bit about herself too.
It's interesting, Daniel. What do you think this play has to say about parents and children?
Oh, that is a great question. I think a lot of it is it's about conversation, or the lack thereof, in as sort of represented in a lot of the intergenerational relationships that play out on the stage, right? I think even growing up, there is the way that I was raised, where it's like, listen to your elders and don't talk back, and and whatever. And as I have grown, and we have, I think, all grown in the conversation around parenting and rearing and that sort of conversation intergenerationally, it's about more now listening than it is about, this is the ultimate power and you listen to me and whatever. And I think that a lot of those sort of dynamics come to a head in this show, because no matter what, Polixenes says, Florizel still goes through with his plan. So as much as he is that powerhead and that, that figurehead for authority, Florizel still finds a way to sort of circumvent it. So it's about how do they listen to each other and what can they learn from one another by the end.
The play, the women are really sort of the moral center of the play. Sorry. But they're sort of the moral center. What do you think is interesting about the way Shakespeare wrote women in this play?
Ooh. That's a great question. I think all of the women do go through a pretty strenuous amount of, I'll use the word trauma in some way, because I think it does, there are a lot of incidents that happen, whether, Paulina losing her husband, losing her best friend, the queen. I mean, everything that Hermione goes through, Perdita, the entire up and down of her whole kind of, the trajectory of part 2 is very intense for Perdita. And I think all of them really hold their own. And I think they all really stand their ground for what they believe in. And I think what I really appreciate about all of these roles is that none of them shy away from confronting people that they think are diminishing them. And I really appreciate, even when I feel I'm not saying anything, when I'm on stage, there is so much that I feel I can channel while even listening to people speaking. And there's just so much to work with there. I think all 3 of those characters are truly some of the strongest female characters in a lot of Shakespeare. Yeah.
You've played Hamlet before. You played this role. What's your dream role after this in Shakespeare?
It's like, okay. There are 2. They're in the same play, the Scottish play. I would love to, play Macbeth, and also I would love to play Lady M if there is a gender bending, version
my God, we should do it.
out there. Like literally,
I'll
like
do Macbeth.
it's one of my. I would.
That would
Are
be...
you kidding? I would love it.
Should we do it?
You know what I mean?
Listen up,
I
guys.
love that character so much.
Get ready.
So yeah, those are roles that are definitely on my list.
What's on your list, Isabella?
I mean, I was going to honestly say Lady M as well, and now that we're on it,
Well,
let's
it's
throw
a fight
Macbeth into
now.
the ring. Yeah, we're going to have it out. We'll talk about it later. Other than that, I mean, I did see Lily in Cymbeline, and I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I remember going, oh, I'd love to play that character one day, and she was just phenomenal in that. I would say also... Ophelia is a great character. I know you did Hamlet. We were just saying that, but I think that's a really fun one. Kind of similar to what I think the character Leontes in The Winter's Tale deals with is like the text when somebody's kind of losing a sense of who they are. And I think Ophelia goes through that. How does the text... sometimes we read Shakespeare because it's dense language, and we go, oh, I don't necessarily understand what that means. And when I found we were doing the readings, a lot of Leontes' lines, we were discussing how, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? And Jim Shapiro, the phenomenal historian on Shakespeare, would go, it actually doesn't make sense because it's not meant to, because he's losing his sense of what he's saying. And I think oftentimes you go, oh, I should understand what that is, but I just don't because it's Shakespeare. And then understanding that it's actually meant to not make sense was something that I feel like also plays into a lot of what Ophelia's text is like as well. So something like that.
I like the Macbeth situation.
Yeah,
I like that as well. We put it out into the universe.
Yeah, I'm
Claim it,
excited for
right?
that. Yeah.
We're manifesting
Yeah.
over here for that.
Let's do that.
The Winter's Tale is running at the Delacorte Theater through August 23rd. My guests have been Isabella Farrar and Daniel Kyrie. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks so
It's lovely
much.
to meet you.